One common question I get from clients is, what's the difference between a contract that's an attorney drafts and one that's I can just find online? Or can I just use a template contract that I find on the internet for my situation? I will say there are certain limited types of contracts that you could use a basic template for, but even in that situation, just pulling one off the internet could still lead to problems if you don't know, because what happens in that situation is that there is a double ignorance when you don't know what you don't know, and then or you think you know, and then it turns out you didn't know, but you find out after the fact. You end up in a situation where you're in a lawsuit or you lose your rights without even realizing it. So even in those situations, there are attorneys who sell contract templates. That's probably more reliable than just pulling one off of Google or some of these other services. Now, with respect to what the difference is that when you have an attorney draft a contract, the attorney isn't just drafting a contract, the attorney is acting as an advisor for the overall transaction. Because in a lot of transactions, there are laws that apply to that transaction that might not make its way into the contract. Or the lawyer will also explain certain contract principles so that you don't end up inadvertently nullifying your own contract, which can happen. Or if there are certain terms that may be specific to your industry, it should be in the contract where you might not find in a template. It might be specific to a certain way that you want to do things, for example, or it might be specific to a certain industry or a certain state or even a certain county. So you might not even find a template that will completely meet all of your needs. And if there's ever a dispute and you end up in court, and the judge might not enforce the contract. In other words, you lose your rights, or worse, you've actually violated a law through your contract. And so the attorney will advise you through that situation and say, okay, well, even though the contract says this, just be aware of X, Y, Z. And that advice is not something that you can get by just buying a template. Another thing to consider is that the attorney will actually explain the contract. I think what happens a lot is that people, get these contracts, and then if you're a business owner, and then you have your clients or your customers sign them, and you don't even know what you're signing or what they're signing. So if there's a dispute, you might not be aware that you violated a law, as I said before, or perhaps, I've seen situations where the business owner kind of made promises, but the contract says otherwise. So they're in the situation where it actually hurts their brand, because now people, consumers no longer trust that business because they were told one thing, but then the contract said something else. So again, the attorney who is drafting the contract will walk you through all of that, so you understand what you are signing, what not to do around your contract, and just to make sure that it's enforceable and what your risks are in the event that it's not.